Hello, I'm Vijay Srinivas, and welcome to this Federal special interview with Senior Communist Party of India Marxist leader, Ms. Brinda Karat. Ma'am, thank you very much for taking your time out and joining us on the Federal. Let me begin with you there. While we see a lot of hopes among the comrades on the new party General Secretary, Mr. Baby from Kerala, critics say that it's another kind of vote bank politics that's been played by the left parties there, because they know that the elections are coming up in Kerala the next 1 year, and he's a Christian leader, and they have appointed a Christian leader just to sort of the Christian voters in the state of Kerala. The population is about 18% there. How do you respond?
Good Lord, that is the most. That's a question which is so distant from the decision-making processes and the reasons why a general secretary of the CPIM is elected. Are you trying to say if there were no elections in Kerala, there would be another general secretary? That is absolutely absurd. The way that the party chooses its general secretary or elects its general secretary is because of the record of any particular individual in serving the party, the cause of the party, the ideology and the politics of the party, and his experience and seniority in the party. Now, it's not as though we have, only one leader. The entire new Politburo, which has been elected, in fact, each and every one of them has got tremendous capabilities and capacities. And therefore, the collective, the Politburo is a collective, and the General Secretary is the comrade who leads that collective. So each and every one of the Politburo, both the senior members who are there, who have been there earlier, and the 8 newly elected members, each and every one of them has their own capacities and capabilities.
Okay, so communism marks 100 years here in India, and if you look at the last 10-year performance of the left parties here in India, you see it. It is 3 in 2019. It is 4 in 2024. But once in a post-independence, I think it was the number was at 16 for by 29 in 1962 and 43 as CPIM in 2004. So, the parties have neither managed to grow, sort of regionally or electorally, despite the moral clout that the left parties enjoy within the student, wings and through, unions as well. So, do you have a concrete strategy in place, for the left's revival in India?
Those are very relevant questions, because it's a fact that electorally we have suffered quite severe setbacks in the last 2 to 3 elections. However, if you look at the way that the party's electoral performance had been, 3 main bases where we used to get seats were Bengal, Kerala, and Tripura. And because of the developments in Bengal and the huge repression against our comrades in Bengal, although we are seeing a groundswell of support for the party and huge mass mobilizations, big participation in struggles, but it is not being transformed into an electoral victory yet. But I think there's going to be a change now. So I think even in a given situation, our performance is going to be much better in the coming days. And the second question that you asked about a strategy, yes, undoubtedly we have, this was what the 24th Party Congress was all about, how to review our year's work and how to take it forward with a coherent political strategy, which has multiple dimensions. There's a social dimension to it, the fight against patriarchy and caste oppression in the framework of the Manuvadi dominant ideology of the BJP RSS combined. That's a very important point. The second is the assault on the Constitution of India and how to have the broadest mobilization against that. And thirdly, and most importantly, the class struggles, the mass struggles of the toiling people of India, and how to take that out politically. So I think there has been a very fruitful discussion, and I would call Congress a Congress of unity and resolve.
Okay, so I mean, as a veteran party leader, would you think to galvanize youth of today's times, it's better to have a young leader at the helm? Because if you look at Mr. Baby, he's 71 right now, and you got a age limit of 70. Okay, 70, and you got an age limit of 75 there. He's got 5 more years to sort of revive the party. Isn't it too late already?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a continuity. We require a continuity in our leadership. You can't suddenly have a break. And now, for 8 senior leaders of the party stepping down all at once, you need a person who has worked at the center and who has a certain amount of experience to bridge that gap. But as you can see, unlike many other parties, our party, when we make a constitutional change, in that we set an age limit of 75 for the Central Committee, we have implemented it. And I think that says a lot for the party's collective functioning. It says a lot.
Okay, so I mean, I wanted to quickly get your reaction on this. What Mr. Baby said. He said 25% of the global population in the world live in countries ruled by left parties. But when you suddenly think practically, ma'am, you see the left-ruled countries have much lesser say, except China. There, it's still the bigger economies, America and the Europe, have a much larger say in the global economy. In a country, what's happening, the market meltdown and Trump tariffs and so on. So the right wing still has a larger say. Would you agree with this?
The main point there is this whole narrative that there is no alternative to capitalism. There's no alternative to loot and plunder. There is no alternative to American hegemonism by the American successive administrations. I think the point that Comrade Baby was making is that there is an alternative. And it's not an alternative in the future. It's an alternative which is happening today in many countries across the world. And I would say even in India, within the capitalist system, you have a state like Kerala, for example, who with very, very limited resources has an alternative vision. So there is an alternative is what we want to stress. And that alternative is socialism.
Okay, so I mean, political analysts often say that Indian left never got the Indian society right, including Mr. Yogendra Yadav a couple of years back. If you really look at the draft resolution, that came into play in January, you see a couple of rhetorical points against the Modi administration. I mean, that's okay as an opposition there, but you also see, a lot of heaping praise on Russia and China as well. But not a single word on the skirmishes what had happened in Doklam there. And on the Chinese occupying.
Yes.
And the Chinese occupying the Indian territory there. You think a party is still looking at China as some kind of a North Star would certainly be acceptable in the Indian society there?
The Chinese-India dispute on the border has been a pending dispute. Successive governments, including the Modi government, have made categorical statements in Parliament that disputes must be solved through dialogue, and therefore the party has supported the position that this must be supported through dialogue, and that is the way you can resolve issues. And unfortunately today, because of the Modi government's foreign policy, we are in conflict with all our neighbors. That's a very unfortunate situation. And therefore, we have stressed in our resolution the importance of good neighborly relations. And I think that is it's a position which is in the national interest.
Okay, so and moving on to the privatization perspective of the Communist Party of India, Marxist there, the party has recently shifted its stance from against privatization to selective participation of privatization in the PSUs. So, I mean, you talk about another Keralam, and that's building a new Kerala. So you need significant public-private partnership for further scale-up and growth. I mean, why is the Communist Party against this idea of privatization?
You're mistaken when you say that there has been a shift in our position. There has been shift in our position. It was Comrade Jyoti Basu who, in fact, I think it may have been about 25 or much more than that, maybe 30 years ago, where we discussed the industrial policy of West Bengal at a time when West Bengal was virtually being blockaded by the central. So the point is, in Kerala, this is the only state government which has in fact saved 12 to 14 state public sector units from the destruction which had been there before the left government came into power. We have saved those public sector units. It is only those public sector units which we believe that because of the market conditions today and the demand for those products which they may be making, where it is very difficult to restart public sector units which have already been declared defunct and sick. How do you revive those public sector units? This is not a general blanket thing about private-public participation, certainly not. Public sector, where there is a robust public, where they were sick and where we could revive them, we have done so. And they're doing very well. So it is only in those specific individual cases where we believe that may be required. In those public sector units, definitely if we can revive those public sector units as private-public participation, I think that would be absolutely fine and within our general ideological perspective.
Okay, one last question there, ma'am, before I let you go. Since we have you here, I mean, do you think the Communist Party, the left and the Congress will be putting up a fight against the BJP and the TMC in West Bengal? And B, who could potentially be the Chief Minister candidate of Kerala in the upcoming elections there?
As far as electoral tactics are concerned, the party electoral tactics are determined by the political line which we have just discussed at the 20th Congress. So as and when elections are declared, at that time, we will decide our seat sharing arrangements and how to go ahead.